Frank Holmes joins us this Monday from Cape Town. He's there for the Indaba Mining Conference. Frank, good to see you.
It's great to be here and down under, and it's 7 hours time zone or 6 hours time zone difference. And it's amazing, it's subdued, but it's, 8,000 people are expected to attend.
And what a great time to be at a mining conference, since we'll have a lot of results coming out this week, and we'll get to that in a second. But first, Frank, let's talk about Greece and concerns of whether the country can stay in the EU. Frank, we see that gold is finding support on some safe haven demand this Monday morning. Do you think the Greece factor is supporting gold prices? And what do you make of the EU-Greece standoff?
Well, the Greek drama is almost any socialist drama. The more the socialist mindset runs a country, they just don't respect money. And so that becomes a real battle of work ethic and the value of money. And I think it's extremely unstable. It could be one of those tipping points that, like we had the euro versus the Swiss franc and how it created this schism in the marketplace. So Germany's not going to tolerate it. And I think that that's positive. What will Greeks do? Well, you know what they're doing? They're hoarding euros. They're buying gold, and they're hoarding it because they're worried about what took place in Cyprus. And what did governments do? They come and confiscate, and they give you a tax on all your assets in the bank, and then they prevent you from getting your money out on a timely basis. So this is the real stuff I hear down from the Europeans at Indaba.
So, Frank, I mentioned you're at a mining conference, and this week we have a lot of results coming out. Ones to watch include Kinross, Yamana, and Agnico, and of course Randgold. Frank, what do you expect from the results coming out this week? Will it be a turnaround for the miners?
What I'm so happy about is Randgold, because it's one of my top holdings, and the CEO, Dr. Mark Bristow, has just hit it through the ball over the park. He benefits from a weak Mali currency. He benefits from a weak euro because everything's priced in euros and a weak oil prices. But he's gone through 1 million ounces of production. So he had a massive event today for all investors and media people. So I think that that's very positive for the gold industry.
And we look forward to interviewing Mark Bristow at the BMO conference next week. But Frank, do you think that compared to last year, same period, it's a better time for the miners?
Oh, much better. Much better. And I think you're going to see that coming out of a lot of the Canadians. It's the Americans are going to have more challenge because they have to pay in U.S. dollars and everything's in U.S. dollars. So the margin expansion, the Canadians should do well because the currency's off 15%. The rand is off 12%. Over 2 years, the rand's off 40%. Mali currency's off another 20 some odd percent. So there's margin expansion because they're getting gold at a stable price. But they're paying in local employment, so they're going to, what's it called, a margin expansion. And the best performing stocks, gold stocks, have margin expansion.
All right. On that note, Frank, let's get to our opportunities and threats segment now. Starting with opportunities, investors are looking for yields, and with negative interest rates in some countries, gold ETFs have seen significant inflows so far this year. Is this a trend you see continuing, Frank, and is it helping to support gold prices?
Yeah, I think there's no doubt there's a resurgence of gold because when you look at real interest rates out of the G7, G10, the only country with a modest increase or relative is the US dollar. So I think that investors, anytime you get this negative real interest rate scenario, gold starts to rally in those countries' currencies. Now, what's really dynamite is these gold mining companies like Goldcorp. Goldcorp pays a dividend higher than a 5-year government bond. So why would you buy a 5-year government bond when you can buy something that pays monthly, a higher yield, and you've got this protection with gold?
And what about silver ETFs? Is it the same story, Frank?
It's interesting that you asked that question because the money flowing into gold ETF, bullion ETF, has been wonderful, spectacular. But silver has been very subdued, and silver offers so many other industrial benefits. So I was thinking that maybe it's because people are worried that when will Europe get some traction, and once the European economy starts turning around, then silver will all of a sudden get an explosive move. That's my thoughts on that, but it is quite a difference in the buying patterns of people. But it's also global. We talked about last week, the first touchdown to watch was global PMI. And global PMI for the first time turned positive in 9 months. So I think that that's sort of a good cushion for the global economy.
I'm throwing you a curveball this week, Frank. My next topic is the Chinese New Year, which is an opportunity, but could it spill over into threats since historically Gold prices have peaked right after the Chinese New Year. What can we expect this year, Frank, for the year of the Ram?
Well, historically, on the seasonality of gold for the past 35 years, gold peaks just after the Chinese New Year. The Chinese New Year is extended this year. It's later than normal. So gold is this correction that took place on Friday, some currency manipulation or whatever you want to call it, or is it because the consumption big surge of buying out of China has slowed down and we have to wait till a lull in March?
All right, Frank, let's wrap with your touchdown pass for the week.
I think of these a series of results coming out of the gold mining industry. We were looking last week at all the gold stocks, the best performers. So we look at 88 gold producers around the world. The best performers had increased their production per share on a relative basis, and they didn't overhype the market. They delivered, and they're far outperforming the bottom half.
All right, well, Frank, thanks so much, and we'll see you next week. Safe travels back home.
Great.
And thanks for watching Gold Game Film this Monday. We'll see you Tuesday.